And we're gonna get ready to blow this price tag. Biatch.
In the man, especially when we get up here. In the Middle East, is like in your pirate body temperature. Faced out. In the man, especially when we get up here. In the Middle East, is like in your pirate body temperature.
How to get you hype? Get you hype. Get you hype. Get you hype. How to get you hype? Get you hype. Get you hype. Get you hype.
Leon #1 in this motherfucker. Props to Jano on D-Live who followed me. Thank you, Jano. Big props to HP Shorty. Powder gets you hyped, bud. Gets you hyped, bud. And I got a feeling they weren't talking about the slopes in that song, if you know what I'm saying. Big props to Lonely Chacks. Drop it off. Hi, folks. How you doing? This is the motherfucking News Underground. The most hardcore, to the motherfucking point. Not really. We divulge quite a bit. But this is the most hardcore news channel on Twitch, bar none, without a doubt. Not really. We divulge quite a bit. Oh, and I can hear myself. Is that the YouTube? Hold on. Yeah. Oh, this guy sounds like a moron. But yeah, we over on YouTube again. I opened up a new channel. Yeah, it's a brand new channel. Brand new email. I gotta get some. I'm gonna make a link tree. We're gonna get the Patreon. The goal is to get it all finished by this weekend. You know, maybe introduce it next week. You know, get some legitimacy to this shit. I also want the ability for people to donate and like fuck up my stream. People love doing that, you know, donate $1 and then you can like, I don't know, fart blast me or something. I don't know. It's great. People love doing that. I got to get that set up. But no, folks, we are jumping into Ukraine news, Gaza news, U.S. news, and world news. This is the News Underground. I am Abandoned Nihilism, a.k.a. the Harbinger. Harbinger of what? Reality. I need a better response. Make your voice high-pitched. I have a voice changer. I bought the software. I got this voice mod I never use. That would be entertaining. Yeah. Would you donate $1 to fart in my face? That's the question. He's like, bitch, I'll do it for free. All right, we're going to jump into it. Today I am drinking iced tea, this incredibly sugary, brisk iced tea, but needed a change from the ginger ale. Harbinger of common sense. Well, you know, that's presumptuous. That's presumptuous. I feel like harbinger of hope. I like that. That's a little better. But I feel like, look, I'm not a scholar. Okay, I am what I am. I got a vibe. I'm vibing. And the vibe, I'm just trying to tell you what I'm feeling. You know, I'm like one of those sticks. What do they call those? Dipping sticks or whatever the hell? No, fuck, what do they call those? I'm just trying to give you my vibes. And the vibe I'm getting is fascism. I don't know. I am the harbinger of nonsense. There we go. He is a man with an increasingly respectable beard. It's coming in. I gotta get the neck of fucking Chizop here, but really what needs to happen to fix the beard, this fucking, what am I, a Star Wars character? What the fuck is going on down here? Am I a rubber puppet? What the fuck? Woke Patriot is our liberal agenda. He's got the liberal agenda. No, we need to recontextualize these terms, right? Like, if we're not going to use liberal, we better have a better term. We don't really have it. See what I mean? We should probably take it back, is what I'm trying to say. But that means you got to call yourself a liberal, and that's the equivalent of like putting a human turd in your mouth. So, all right, let's jump into it right away. Ukraine stuff. I only have one thing here for Ukraine. I meant to do more. I was so eager to get started to see what would happen on my new YouTube channel, just to see if that would work. I forgot to actually queue up more stories. Yeah, progressive. Yeah. But I mean, it's like we got to take these terms back. You know, we gotta put up a fight. Is what I'm trying to say. We gotta stop with this mentality of acquiescing. Best fails of the year so far. Try not to laugh. Fail army. Why is that shit? Oh, this is this is the wrong account. That's why I'm like, what the fuck is this crap? It's like I removed that shit from my algorithm years ago because it was my brand new channel. Okay. So let's get to it here, Ukraine. Let's get some fucking news on Ukraine here, because we just have the latest headline here from Chem Goblin. Let's go ahead and get our flag up. According to Magyar Group, Russia is testing FPV drones controlled over a long, thin fiber optic cable. An exploded FPV was found with a reel of very thin fiber optic, giving it a range of 10 kilometer and resistance to electromagnetic interference or jamming. So, it was strategy member in the Discord here pointing out that, fiber optic is very fragile, but you can, you don't need to send a lot of data. So you could probably get away with a robust fiber optic cable. Now, robust fiber optic cables are not glass. They're usually like a plastic, polymer kind of thing. So you can get away. You can get a lot of flexibility out of that modern fiber optic cable. If you don't know what's going on, fiber optics, it's like laser beams through light tubes, and fiber optic cables, unlike copper cables, where you can bend them almost completely, right, and still be able to use it because the metal in there is hasn't been severed. You shatter that glass tube in a fiber optic cable. Well, you just fucked over the cable, and there's actually a very special procedure to clip in a new one. You got to melt the glass, and it's a whole thing. It's really cool. I'm in IT, so I do a little telephony while we're here. So this is really interesting, though. So we're seeing attempts to get around jamming, and I was talking about this actually, I think just yesterday when we were talking about the boats. It's like, how is there no countermeasures? Like, are these things attached to a big fucking cable? The reason why I bring that, I was thinking of that because I remember back in the 90s, the United States was firing missiles that had cables attached to them that allowed them to steer it. And I remember seeing this just big fucking cable following this missile. So I was like, well, okay, so this tech exists, right? They can get a big fuck off cable and just, it's totally ridiculous if you think about it, but no, they could totally do that. It looks like the Russians, at least we have one piece of evidence here from Mastodon that they might be doing that. Almost looks like fishing wire. For Ukraine, my prediction is the first half of 2024, Russia will have an advantage. Afterwards, Ukraine will get back the momentum, but land will change this year for the first half of 2025. That's fair. I think that's a fair prediction because it's all about the West. It's all about the West. And Mike Johnson it's seeming it's all up to Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guess, because Mike Johnson doesn't want to lose his job, even though it's completely inevitable that Mike Johnson is going to lose his fucking job. 100% inevitable that he's going to get kicked out. Matt Gaetz over here licking his chops. He understands the game. Matt Gaetz understands the game perfectly. Notch it up. Extremism. Notch it up. Right? We definitely need to widen the Overton window in the U.S. I'm not sure reclaiming labels is the way. If someone's gonna call us a liberal, we'll be like, well, if liberal, if you mean, anti-war, single-payer health care, right, yada, 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 a bunch of progressive stuff, basically, then yeah, okay, call me a liberal. But if you mean corporatist, pro-war, pro-empire, yada, 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 then no, I'm not a liberal. Right? It sounds like what you're describing as a neoliberal. Because the motherfuckers are calling themselves liberals are basically neoliberals. Let's be real. If I'm a proud liberal, that means you you got the Hillary Clinton tattooed on you, like Pete Davidson, right? Well, the fucking embarrassment, dog. Pete Davidson over here. What the fuck you doing, man? Putting Hillary on your motherfucking body, dude. It's like putting a curse on your body, dog. Brisk iced tea. Remember when Eminem was advertising brisk iced tea? I remember that. Because I'm an old ass man. Lenny isn't here yet, so I can say that. Woke Patriot, you're not that old, buddy. All right, so let's get to a Ukraine story here. Ukrainian Bradley AFVs hammer Russian troops attacking west of Avdiivka. So here this is the strategy. This is kind of what Ukraine is being forced into, to find that old. Yeah, no. Yeah, I know. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's going to get a lot worse. I could feel that cliff getting closer. I got to get to exercising or I'm going to lose it. We should focus on solving specific issues instead of being confused what label that issue belongs to. Labels are important and at the same time really annoying and a waste of time. So let's not waste too much time on it anymore. Let's get to the stories. So like I said, this is the strategy. This is not, Ukraine pulled itself back out of Avdiivka. They spent too much time in there just with Bakhmut. I think they honestly felt like they were going to get some help, that maybe if the situation got desperate, that was going to apply pressure. I don't know what the deal was, why they were repeating the same mistakes that they made in Bakhmut in Avdiivka. Regardless, though, I think the pullout was cleaner than Bakhmut, so it's not like they didn't learn any lessons. It's not like they didn't learn any lessons. With that said, so now we see them outside of Avdiivka, so west of Avdiivka here, pushing back. Strategic pulling back strategically, right? Yeah, they're being pushed back. Yeah, they're on the defensive. No doubt about it. Ukraine's mighty 47th Brigade has hammered Russian troops trying to advance, but it is costing Russia dearly. They're so under-equipped. They send these guys out, militarily the equivalent of being buck-ass naked, underprepared, undertrained. Yeah, it's part of their strategy. It's these meat waves. It's so there has to be a time in the Russian military before this idea that you just always have more dudes to throw at this problem. There has to be a time, in the 1700s, 1800s. But this is such a ghoulish strategy. And dude, the rich, folks that have been able to avoid conscription in Moscow and in other, some of the nicer cities in Russia, you're gonna get pulled into this shit. There's only so many, hillbillies, basically. Let's be real, where they're pulling these folks from. There's only so many of those folks to go around. Oh, fuck nuts, dude. Jesus. Right on that mine. Okay, I better be careful. Let me pull up the old filter here. Jesus. Right? So eventually these let me just make sure there's no bodies here. Yeah, we're not seeing any bodies so far. But I mean, the Russian people that think that they're going to be able to avoid this, because Russia has, is entering a total war state if they haven't already. Oh Lord. More video shows how helicopters have supported the effort. Thank bejesus, lobbing missiles at the Russians in order to hold their advances back. I love that move when they tip way back and fire them up, and then they turn and then throw the countermeasures. It's a whole. I'm sure they have a name for it, right? They lean back, fire, then they take a big churn, fire off countermeasures. I gotta say, as amazing as it is, it does, you do get some fatigue from all this. I want to see it end, and I want to see it end with a Ukrainian victory. But that's part of Russia's strategy, right? Is to wear us all down. Ukraine takes new approach to remedy soldiers shortage from DW. Well, this is interesting. All right. Well, I know I'm a little loosey-goosey here, but I didn't have videos queued up. I have videos queued up for every other subject, but all right, let's do one more here because this is actually interesting. Ukraine takes new approach to remedy soldiers shortage. Let's see here.
Ukraine is continuing to urge its allies to boost arms supplies after Russia made some advances on the front line. After months of what appeared to be a stalemate in the war, Ukraine withdrew its troops from the key eastern town of Avdiivka in the middle of February. Moscow says that it has since taken control of several villages around it. Ukraine is trying to plug its front lines and now has a new approach to mobilize volunteers. The W's Sonia Falnikar went to meet some Ukrainians determined
I'm really surprised they haven't engaged
against Russia.
Is this question of election? Is this why they haven't? I'm actually really surprised that we haven't seen a more outward mobilization. I guess Zelensky is really, really worried about morale.
An uphill battle, not just to keep fit, but to prepare for a very real one. Filip Avarenkov is an English teacher in Kyiv. He's decided to join the Ukrainian army.
I've lost the meaning of my civil life. Civilian people die, like every day, and it's not a joke. Once a month I wake up due to explosions of Russian missiles bombing Kyiv. And in this case, learning programming or becoming a developer or creating a family, it feels like I'm lying to myself.
Because it's a real existential threat.
Philippe wants to become a soldier and help defend his country. He has no military experience, but says he's keen to learn.
And
instead of waiting for a draft notice that would assign him to a random military unit, Philippe is charting his own path. As part of a bid to boost recruitment, Ukrainians can choose their own military roles. Philippe has picked the unit he wants to serve in, the prominent Da Vinci Wolves. They recently opened their own recruitment center in Kyiv. Philippe is here for an interview. He's done his homework. He says he finds the battalion professional and admires their values and their commander. The unit only accepts people who apply voluntarily. It's offering jobs in the infantry and for medics, but also in logistics and drone operations.
Oh, cool. Okay.
After an initial 5-day camp, applicants can sign a contract and get advanced training.
Interesting.
For now, the recruitment center's biggest task is to dispel fears around the military.
I think that the most common fear is fear that they will join us and we will immediately send them to the front lines. Of course, this will never happen. Nobody goes to the front lines before they get all the required training. Plus, lots of people are afraid that
so far
we will, offer them one position. When they join us, we will just send them, to infantry. No, this will not happen.
It's like, I want to help, but I really don't want to go directly to the front lines, please. I get that. Okay. That would definitely be a concern, but it's good that Ukraine is in this position that they're able to do this. But as things get more desperate, the truth in these statements will start to fade away. So that's why we got to help now. We got to get in there now, before this gets into a situation where it becomes out of our control, out of the West's control. We're getting very close to that situation now.
If we promise something, we will do it.
So I believe him for now. The Russian army, a couple hundred miles outside of Kyiv. I no longer believe what that recruiter is saying, right?
Fears around mobilization have heightened amid reports of mounting losses at the front and a shortage of munitions and men. As Parliament debates a new bill to recruit more troops, reports of draft officers serving call-up notices on the streets to men of fighting age have added to the anxiety. Many do want to help the war effort, but not only on the front. The government has turned to the market to help. Vladislav Reziv heads a major online recruitment agency that works with the Defense Ministry. They advertise thousands of jobs with hundreds of military units, provide information and help with the recruitment process.
He has different forces, ground forces, Navy, Air Forces.
They've received over 74,000 applications so far for positions ranging from drivers, mechanics, communication and IT specialists, engineers to assault soldiers.
Okay, 4 minutes into this, I got to say, this is a bit propaganda-y. I'm getting a propaganda vibes here. That's okay. I'm okay showing Ukrainian propaganda, but I just want to point out that I'm not unaware that this feels like a puff piece. I want to see what this new approach is. What's the new approach? Fucking what? Social media? That's not fucking new, dude. What's new? What's the new part? I thought they were doing something like it was increasing. They were knocking on doors more. You know what I mean?
And even dog trainers.
That's an old-ass MacBook Air, by the way.
The whole process is voluntary.
For society, for people, it's very important to control their future as much as possible. People want to trust their future commander. They want to know that it would be professional.
Yeah.
But this flexible approach has not been enough to address the actual problem of boosting troop numbers at the front.
All right, good. Here we go.
Vladislav admits the biggest vacancies are in the infantry and medical corps. Back near the recruitment center, Philippe is happy with how his interview went. He hopes to sign up soon and spur on others to do the same.
It's difficult to imagine how horrible war is unless you live in Ukraine. I want to encourage my friends with my own example that Ukrainian people have to join army, otherwise we will lose our country.
Philippe says being able to choose the unit he trusts was the reason he volunteered. A soft approach that helped him make a hard decision.
Okay, yada, yada, yada. Whatever. Okay.
And for more on this story, we're joined by DW's Sonia Fonica from Kyiv, who filed that report. Sonia, can we...
Hold on. I want to hear from her. She keeps it real. Let me hear from her.
Joined by military analyst Marina Miron from King's College, London's War Studies Department. Marina, what does Ukraine need more right now? Munitions or manpower?
Hello, Gerhard. Well, it's a difficult question to answer. I think Ukraine needs both, and probably the first thing they would need are munitions, because we know that the recruitment process requires also these people to go through training, and they need to be equipped. They need to be attached to specific units before they can be sent to the front lines. That takes longer. So in the shorter term, I think munitions would be number one. But of course, it's very difficult to say they need one thing more or the other. One thing doesn't exclude the other.
Well, it seems like Ukrainians, on the whole, are not very keen to join the fight. Is that an admission that not everyone believes that this war can be won?
Ooh.
Well, there are different reasons for this. And we have seen that Ukrainians were volunteering at the very beginning of the war, but now this war fatigue has set in. And as some Ukrainian military officials have pointed out, it's not just the belief that war cannot be won, it's also the fact that the president might be underplaying the situation on the ground, meaning that people who haven't been drafted yet do not feel the urgency to join in, meaning they probably think, well, if I wait long enough, it will be over. And this kind of information dissemination skews the picture and undermines the Ukrainians' will to join.
Divining rod. That was the word I was looking for at the beginning of the stream. Divining rod. Let's proceed.
In because they think, or a portion of them thinks, everything is going just fine on the battlefield, even without me.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, Ukraine's parliament has heatedly debated a bill that would expand mobilization, but it seems no one is willing to push that law across the finish line. What do you make of that?
Got to get in this fight.
Well, the problems with that law have started already in December 2023 when General Zaluzhny was still occupying his post. And I think already at that point, the discussions regarding specific provisions when it comes, for instance, to punishments have made it very unpopular amongst the population. And there was this fear that this law could actually polarize the population. For instance, those who have high incomes and pay a lot of taxes would be exempt from the law. And so there is a lot of discussion, but now what we have to understand that the Rada will have to approve the law, and then the president himself will have to sign the law, meaning that he approves all the provisions in that law, including broadening the mobilization and increasing the punishments for draft dodgers, which would make it much more unpopular given the fact that already now people are trying to escape the recruitment personnel on the street. And there are a lot of videos from Ukraine where people kind of are learning tricks on how to do that. Yeah. So it seems that it would further undermine the social cohesion inside Ukraine and possibly decrease President Zelensky's ratings even further.
Yeah.
The military analyst, Marina, we're on there for.
Guys, I can't believe this, but DW lied to us. Can you believe this? They lied to us. Not a single new thing. There's no new approach. I mean, I guess there's just some changes to the law. That's the new stuff, actually, is some of the reform. Some of the reforms they're making to these laws, but the pressure is that they don't want to, no one wants to be unpopular enough to enact it. And I get that, but nut up. You got to nut up. I mean, what do you do, though? It doesn't seem like they're going to be doing an election. So the longer the war, the more fucked they are. We got to give Ukraine as much as possible. And we got to give it to them now before it gets out of hand. I can't believe DW would lie to us like that, guys. All right. Moving on to our next story here. Next section of headlines here I pulled out. This was from yesterday, but close enough. Israel approves plans for 3,400 new homes in the West Bank. Yay, they did it. That two-state solution's right around the corner, guys. And this is sure to help with the hostage negotiations, by the way. This is not a single pause to anything, and only the United States can put Israel in its place. You know what I mean? Only the United States can put Israel in its place, honestly, and tell it, you're not exceptional to the rest of the. It's so funny, but that's what needs to happen. Because that is exactly what the United States proposes to the rest of the world. We see it in our chat from some of our, most treasured chatters. We see this American exceptionalism. Well, there's Israeli exceptionalism. And why stop when there's no indication, when there hasn't been any indication that you will be punished for doing wrong for the last what? When was the last time Israel was punished by the United States for anything? 2 decades ago? Every time Israel does this, Joe Biden gets up there and says, I support Israel 100%, and, we've been supporting Israel 4 seconds into its existence. And, we're really disappointed, and we sent a stern email. And, please enjoy the minty chocolates we sent with our last week's multi-billion-dollar aid package we sent to you. Have you heard the U.S. vetoing a forced ceasefire for Israel? Oh, they vetoed a forced one. Didn't they call for a ceasefire in the UN? I saw that headline. I thought the United States called for a ceasefire in the UN. Were they like, well, okay, let's do a real one? They're like, oh no, not a real one. We just want to call for one. We don't want them to really be forced to do that. Stop that. No. Israel's government has advanced plans for more than 3,400 new homes and settlements in the occupied West Bank. About 70% of the homes will be built in Mala Adim, east of Jerusalem, with the rest in nearby Kedar and Efrat, south of Bethlehem. Yeah, well, they're already being sold. I believe that's what I have in here is the. How do I not have one of those? Woke Patriot has put like 3 stories in here about Israel putting up for auction a bunch of homes that are to be built in the West Bank, and a couple of them weren't a couple of them in the West Bank or in the Gaza Strip? Was that the? Hold on, let me just type this in. Let's see here. Yeah. So yeah, it's happening in Montreal. It's weird. They're doing it all over the place. Israel real estate event near Toronto. So they're over in Montreal. They're over in Toronto. Here's one from the U.S. Israel real estate event draws backlash over sale of West Bank settlement properties. They're doing this all over right now. They're pre-selling these homes. Hold on. We'll archive it here. This is detergent. Is that because he's cooking crack? I don't understand why that's hard. He's washing his hands with dish and detergent. Okay. Oh, is it because he's poor and he doesn't have hand soap? Is that it? Okay. That's hard. U.S. vetoes Security Council ceasefire resolution. The United States said the resolution could have disrupted its negotiations to free hostages. Really? Really? It would have helped too much? I guess it would have forced their hand, right? Well, they lose their leverage. Because they're like, well, you're going to be forced to do it anyway. Secure a temporary ceasefire, but its vote drew outcry from many diplomats and aid workers. Yeah, who cares about them? So this is weird. Okay, so this is February. Yeah, no, this is February 20th. So this is old news. U.S. Ceasefire. They just called for one. Hamas responds to ceasefire proposal, but accuses Israel of stalling. Oh, that's interesting. We should show that. Yeah, here we go. 2 days ago, Reuters. U.S. now pushes UN to back immediate. Come on with this. Immediate Gaza ceasefire to free the hostages. So this was 2 days ago. United States on Tuesday revised language in a draft United Nations Security Council resolution to back an immediate ceasefire for roughly 6 weeks in Gaza together with the release of all hostages. Yeah. I mean, okay. So, well, I guess this isn't really news. They're just calling for the same failed idea, the 6-week ceasefire, if you give us all your political leverage. Who are these diplomats? And why is no one calling out this? How come no one in the media? Oh, why? Because I'll be seen. They'll call me Hamas. They'll call me a member of Hamas. I don't want that. They'll call you a member of Hamas if you order the wrong kind of pizza, dude. How come no one in the media is calling out, no one wants this deal? Who would take this deal? Give me all your political leverage for a 6-week ceasefire. Then we go right back at it. That's not a peace plan. Look, with their Hamas, it's not impossible though, Davin. There's a history of negotiations with Hamas. We've already actually, Israel and Hamas have already done a prisoner swap, if I recall. Or no, they already did one hostage release, actually. So yeah, they're terrorists, but they're still down to negotiate. Peace plan for release of the hostage is the only way to get a fair outcome. Then again, the bigger powers never cared about fair anymore. An actual peace plan, an actual ceasefire. Okay. The third revision of the text, first proposed by the U.S. 2 weeks ago, now reflects blunt remarks by Vice President Kamala Harris that initial U.S. draft has shown support for a temporary ceasefire. I mean, come on. This is just a joke. Would the United States take this deal if the shoe was on the other foot? You know what I mean? Oh, how dare you even compare it? Blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. How about we have a real conversation about how shitty this fucking deal is? You know? It's just insane. No one's going to take this crap. Okay, and maybe this is like, okay, this is the start-off point for a real negotiation. Well, it doesn't seem like it. They seem pretty hard on this idea. Release, give me all your political leverage for a 6-week break. And then what? We invade Ramallah? Yeah, exactly, strategy. Oh, we can't do that. We're working with Hamas, and what we got to destroy Hamas. That's our goal. That's our goal. Well, if that's your goal, you're never getting the fucking hostages back, are you, bitch? You don't get both. You don't get both. Oh, we should get both. We should get both. Yeah, okay. Well, shit in one hand, wish in the other, huh? Bring it out the classics. Because ain't no terrorist organization in their right mind gonna agree to this shit. 6-week break. My fucking ass. What the fuck is this? Then what? Well, presumably we're gonna get right back to it. Oh, that sucks. Okay, well, here's my hostages. Because it's the right thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. MSNBC did a whole 40 minutes on it. I'm convinced, says Hamas. So yeah, this is interesting though. Israel out here, I don't need to read all of them here. All you need to do is, Israel selling homes, type that into Google. And it's happening all over the world. They're auctioning off these homes to international settlers that want to become voluntarily. I mean, look, this is going to get me in trouble.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
It's kind of like a human shield, isn't it? Putting as many civilians in the way, getting them in as soon as possible, right? Oh, the tragic, if they're ever killed, right? It's tragic, just like it was on October 7th. Absolutely tragic. Old people just chilling, dude. Old people just sitting in their homes. Terrorist kicks down their door and slaughters them. Horrific. But Israel put them right there. Guaranteed their safety. Dropped that ball. Either intentionally or otherwise. We have no evidence. It was intentional. It was just such a cock up, it feels like it. Fascinating stuff. Wait, what was that link? Hold on. Middle East crisis. Hamas says ceasefire. Oh, yeah, so this is just happening. Hamas says ceasefire talks continued despite delegation leaving Cairo as it happened. Interesting. Yeah, so they're still talking, but so they don't want to give up this 6 week and then we're going to go right back to it. I guarantee it. I guarantee you that's what they're going to say. Hamas statement has confirmed that talks over a deal with Israel will continue despite a Hamas delegation leaving Cairo, where talks were being held, and a senior Hamas official claiming that Israel had thwarted any deal. And I guarantee you the thwarted is, and I'm not trying to be on Hamas' side here, okay, but I guarantee you the thwarted is like, no, we're you know, Israel is going to, just like every negotiation with Israel, we refuse to budge. We're not budging an inch. In fact, you're going to give us more. You're going to give us more. And it's like there's no budging. There's no, you know, so they probably didn't move at all. Maybe they're like, 7 weeks. We'll give you 7 weeks. And then right back to the war, huh? Yep. That's the deal. Well, let me just see how many hostages I have left so I can do this amazing deal. Official Sami Abu Ziri told Reuters that Israel had been thwarting efforts to conclude a ceasefire deal mediated by Qatar and Egypt during the 4 days of the talks, rejecting Hamas's demands to end its offensive in the territory. It's exactly. They refuse. No, the military campaign will continue after you give us the hostages. That is a non-starter. Withdraw its forces and ensure freedom of entry for aid and return. No. Well, give you control of the Gaza Strip or give it back to the Palestinians? No. So did Israel even bring up a technocratic government by the PLO? I bet you they didn't even do that. There's no plan to give it back, folks. What the fuck are we talking about? Welcome back, Borderline Feline Strategy member, Davin, Woke Patriot, Leon, Chem, Goblin, all you OGs. Thank you for coming back. I do appreciate it. Welcome to the News Underground. They will only do a deal when the whole of Gaza is wiped out, and there's no deal. It's just like the two-states solution negotiation. Just a big delay, just to wind out the clock, man. Because the deeper you get entrenched, the more you take, the harder it is to reverse it. Right? How are we going to remove 3,000 fucking 200 right settlers? What, we can just gonna let Palestinians move into these Israeli-built settler homes after we kick them out of there? Oh, that'll go over real well. You would see these people like burning down their homes. Basically, that's what they would do. They would burn down their homes if truly forced to leave. That's okay. That'd be okay with the Palestinians. But it's about getting entrenched. It's about getting too deep to get out, making this problem too big to fix. You know, because they understand the West sucks, and if it's easier to just let Israel finish this, oh well, I don't know. It fixed itself. Israeli government spokesperson David Mencer said, "It is Hamas who have the stumbling block right now by not telling us who is alive and who they have in their custody." I mean, sure, okay. Is that really the non-starter? What, that they can't tell you every, person? Does that really matter? Seems like a made-up problem. You know what I mean? Seems like kind of a made-up issue. Oh, well, you can't give me the specific information. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Sounds like they don't fucking know, because they're a terrorist organization, not a real political entity. Sounds like it's a bunch of a group of loosely collected maniacs, unified around a specific version of their fucking book, right? That's what it sounds like to me. Separately, an Israeli official told the CNN network it believes Hamas is playing a game and that the group does know where hostages are being held. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? This is the, oh, we can't talk now. You won't give us the exact location, names, and whether these specific people are alive or not. We can't even have a conversation. Okay, I mean, can they even get that? You see what this is exactly? Look up the history of the two-state negotiations and look how Israel. There were incidences of bad actor actions, walking out of the room, making bizarre demands that they know full well would never be agreed to. It's your boy Lenny, south of Boston. Thank you, Lenny, for coming back. Good to see you. The same shit. Same shit. Oh, you can't give us this? Well, then we won't even have a talk. Oh, and we wanted to have a negotiation so bad, but you won't do this. Oh, bummer. It's not good faith negotiating. You know what I mean? It's not good faith. It's they know going in that the other side will absolutely 100% refuse. This absurd, and it's not too absurd. I mean, it sucks. It sucks. But this, if I was negotiating, I'd be like, okay, well, look, maybe we can get to that later, right? Maybe once we get to phase 2, you can give us more information about this. But let's just make an agreement, all hostages released, right? And then we'll pull out of the Gaza Strip, right? Let's start. That's a real negotiation, right? Not, we're not budging a bit. We're not budging a bit. And we're building new settlements. At least 30,000. Is it? You say 38? No. It's 30,800? How am I supposed to say that? At least 30,000 Palestinians have been killed. And 72,298. See, I know how to say that one. How come I don't know how to say that one? 30,800. Is that really? God, it sounds so awkward. English, huh? Have been killed, and 72,298 have been wounded since Israel began its military assault on Gaza after the 7th October Hamas attack inside Israel, according to the latest figures from the Health Ministry. In addition, the Palestinian Authority Ministry of Health, which is separate to the Hamas-led one that operates inside Gaza, says that 424 Palestinians have now been killed by Israeli security forces on settlers in the Israeli-occupied West Bank since the 7th of October. There you go. They're Hamas too, I'm sure someone would say. Yeah, woke patriot. God, he busted me. I knew he would. And unrelated note, where is Blue Sky Link in your about? Yeah, I'm gonna get all that. I'm gonna get a link tree. Link tree is gonna be set up this week. I'm doing it. Once the kid gives me a little bit of time, I come down here and start working on it. We're gonna get a link tree, Blue Sky. We got the YouTube going. How's the YouTube going right now? Let's see here. Double check it. Hey, we're on YouTube, folks. Look at that. Look at that. You boys on the YouTube, News Underground. Make sure you check it out. Like and subscribe. Gotta get these numbers up. Doesn't really matter. I really just need to buy a bunch of subscriptions. I mean, let's be real. I need to do what everyone else does, right? To bump my numbers up. At least to get me going. At least to get me going, buy a couple thousand, right? It's like $50. Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will push on with its offensive in Gaza, including Rafah, regardless of international pressure. So, I mean, yeah, there's no, come on. I mean, if you are a person in the media, if you are on CNN, MSNBC, and you are just face values, talking about these negotiations without pointing out, the one side that is like being a vocal bad actor, you're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. And you're not playing defense for Hamas, pointing out that Benjamin Netanyahu is making public statements that is absolutely damaging the hostage negotiation process. He should not be saying shit like this if he really gave a shit about those people. By MAGA supporters? Oh man, it'd be so nice. Those guys are so loyal. Oh boy. Give me a bunch of right-wing hate watchers. I tell you, man. They're loyal as shit. Every comment, every video, they'll be in your comment section. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Lots of engagement. Lots of engagement. All right. This one, you know, great for, they care about the hostages, guys. It's going to happen any day. And Joe Biden is such a fool, man. He said just, what was it, last week? Oh, I got a good feeling this is right around the corner. This is really going to happen. What a fucking, I mean, he's on autopilot. He's on autopilot. He's, you know, his experts told him, well, there's less Muslim voters than there are Jewish voters that support Israel in this action. So if you got to take a hit, you might as well piss off the Muslims, right? They probably showed him some stats after 9/11. Look, this is what happens. Who knows? But it looks like he's made the calculation that it's safer to back Israel than it is to back humanity. With that said, he's trying to play both. He's trying to play both. But ultimately, Joe Biden all the actions against Israel are not going to be substantive. They're going to be communication. They're going to be, right, propaganda. They're going to be just, you know, words. Israel, it doesn't seem like Israel is going to receive any kind of carrot and stick, any real carrot and stick here. And they're going to get away with it. They know it. They know it. I mean, imagine the U.S. government, like, you know, disables all the help that they give to the IDF Air Force. Day one, Netanyahu will be in front of a microphone saying the U.S. president, you know, is now in league with the Arabs, and he's now, you know, he's an enemy of us, and, you know, and then that reaches the United States, right? Because, you know, Israel thinks that they have a lot of, you know, and they do. They have a lot of sway, especially lobbying and whatnot. But how many people has Israel? It's really about voters, because I think if you were to poll voters, Israel would have a big sway. But if you poll the entire United States, I think Israel would have less sway. So this was an interesting one. I think this was posted by you, Woke Patriot. We have a U.S. soldier proudly explaining to the camera. This is the most well-documented ethnic cleansing campaign in history. So we're seeing right here this U.S. soldier, this American volunteer, maybe, or just an American in the Israeli army. They're happy to accept them. Explaining what the mission is.
As a soldier, there's only one patch that matters: the past, the present, the future. That's what this war is about, and it should be everywhere, because this is what we're fighting for. Beit HaMikdash.
Some temple, the Bet HaKamdash temple.
Beit HaMikdash. Thank you, MJ, on behalf of the Jewish people.
Right. So it's a holy war. I like his little pirouette. He's such a cutie. Look at his little pirouette.
As a soldier.
But yeah, that's very frightening. That's very, very frightening. But I mean, how much more evidence I literally do this every day. How much more evidence do we need? We don't need any more. We're good. So here's an IDF soldier, you know, taking food from a completely blown out shop. I mean, making like cutesy social media posts about it, man. It's really sick, dude. It's really gross. Have a little shame. Right? Please? Can you have just a little shame about this? No? We're super stoked about it? Super happy, super stoked about it? Share this on my social media? So this is shocking. So this guy, this Israeli who is a soldier for the IDF, is like, he's putting up his flag, his logo over this storefront. He's like, this is the, I'm gonna once we occupy this, once we take this, I'm gonna put my shop here. Yeah, I guess so, woke patriot. It's different, though. It's different. It's different. Somewhere deep down, this guy has to know it's wrong. I can't show this video. It's a Palestinian getting murdered by a tank shell. So this is fascinating because this guy here is coldly and calmly explaining how terrible it is, how everything looks, but he's doing it from the perspective of like, yeah, we really messed it up. We really, the humanitarian situation's all screwed up. So I'm bulldozing everything. I'm getting, I'm knocking everything down and getting it ready for the Israelis to come in. Totally normal. It's like, yep, this is what we're doing. Government supported. This is the mission. There's no doubt in his mind about what he's out there for and what he's achieving. So yeah, he's one of these construction guys, right? So he's talking about move a house there, move a house over here. And he's demoing all this. They're blowing it up, seemingly getting it ready to rebuild. Guys, not for the Palestinians. They're doing it really quick. I mean, they're in full body armor, full military. Like they're doing this under fucking sniper fire. And of course I showed you video of them bulldozing cemeteries. Yeah, very mask off. And it's like he doesn't seem to, it's just, this is the job, this is what we're doing, this is the mission. There's no question about it. Now, with that said, I don't think he says in any of these statements, we're doing this specifically for Israeli settlers to move in. Hey, Strategy, thank you for subscribing to my new YouTube. Figured it would make more sense to have a news underground YouTube. So thank you, Strategy member. Appreciate that. Even the aid dropping into Gaza beach and sea, the kids running to collect it are bombed to death. No, so Borderline Feline, those were two separate incidents. That was not an accurate Twitter video. I saw that video actually. I know what you're talking about. What's going to be on the old one? I'm just going to convert that to the uploads of the full raw live stream. So it's going to be the live stream archive. So I'll still be using that to upload just the full blown everything, the full stream to YouTube. I'll still be using that channel, but this new one for live streams and curated content, edited content. Once I can afford that editor, once I get back into the swing of things. All right, so last video here pertaining to Israeli Gaza. U.S. plans to build port in Gaza to ship its supplies as Israel prevents more aid by land. And it's just, Joe Biden has no he's being played, dude. Joe Biden is being played like a sucker, like an absolute sucker, dude. This, you know what this reeks of? This reeks of a neoliberal Band-Aid solution. You know what I mean? Okay, well, yeah, I mean, you're still going to build settlements and you're still going to occupy most of Gaza and we're never really going to, it's obvious we're never really going to get to a real negotiation, but, well, can we build a port in there so that we can, so we can do this slowly and just so that we don't have a humanitarian crisis while I have an election, you can take their country, but can we just not starve them to death? And please, pretty please, can we not starve them to death? Look, you don't have to do anything. We'll build our own port. And, UNRWA won't be part of this either. It'll just be us. And, please, little Band-Aid solution so we can get to the election, please. We don't want the Republicans to use commercials of starving dead Gazan children and say this is because the neoliberals failed. We don't want that. You can take it, but no starving. Cool? That cool, please? Netanyahu, please? Utterly pathetic. Oh, do you want another $50 billion? Here you go. I'm so sorry. Honestly, I don't know. Like, Joe Biden is like an anti-leader, dude. Honestly, MSNBC just gushing their fucking panties over Joe. Oh, his economy. Oh, this and that. They're delusional. They're delusional. Yeah, some of the numbers look good, but the mainstream media has refused to acknowledge the separation between Wall Street and Main Street, decades ago. And this is the result of it. I just don't understand why people don't like Joe Biden when the economy's doing so great. Meanwhile, your average, Wendy's, $11 an hour Wendy's workers like, economy's so great. Yeah, for you, Rachel Maddow, in your New York penthouse. Yeah, you're doing great. It makes the Democrats look completely, wildly delusional. And, we have more evidence. We have more evidence. Of these delusional neoliberals on autopilot, man. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They don't know how to lead. What they're doing is they're opening up a goddamn vacuum that the fascists are all too happy to fill. Woke Patriot over here quoting Joe Biden during the election when he was speaking to wealthy donors. Son of a bitch, he was right. He's on autopilot, man.
In northern Gaza, children...
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to work, old growth. I don't know.
At this street kitchen. The man in charge says they've run out of essentials, rice and sugar, in a region where the UN says they're dying from hunger.
People are hungry. It's been 4 or 5 months without any aid. Everyone has lost weight and the children are suffering from malnutrition and sickness. The thirst is killing us, the starvation is killing us, and the poverty is killing us.
In an unprecedented move to increase aid, President Biden will tonight announce the creation of a port by the U.S. military.
I haven't seen a man wear a hat that incorrectly in quite some time. There's got to be a story to why he's wearing that hat that way. He has to know he can adjust it. That's how he likes it. Maybe the top of his head. I don't get it. This is not a Palestinian phenomenon. This is a rural phenomenon. Farmers in deep rural Michigan do this. I don't get it.
President Biden will tonight announce the creation of a port by the U.S. military on Gaza's coast.
Who said that? Old Grove.
Nowhere near enough support is getting to northern Gaza, with airdrops insufficient, and the World Food Programme saying a convoy of 14...
Clutch cargo. Once again, you bring this up as if it's Hamas, as if it's the Palestinians that are the barrier to peace here. It's a shame you weren't here 5 minutes ago. I just went through and shown a bunch of evidence that Netanyahu and Israel have no interest in any kind of negotiation, good faith or not. You're not going to negotiate with this entity to release the hostages, and then we're going to go right back to your annihilation. It's not going to work that way. That's a bad faith, and everyone, and that's just the default. That's just, that's common sense. That's just what we're asking for. It's not too much to ask. It's not too much to ask. It is if you're Hamas. Oh, well, Hamas is bad, though. Okay, yeah, but we still got to deal with them. Oh, no, we don't. We can annihilate them and get the hostages. How, Magic Man? How? Oh, well, you're an anti-Semite.
Aid trucks were turned away by the Israelis this week.
I'm not saying you're saying that.
More would reach Palestinians if there was a ceasefire, but American hopes of a deal by Ramadan look bleak.
Yeah, no shit.
Leaving the people of Gaza mired in war amidst a looming famine.
Oh, they wouldn't take the deal. No shit.
And with the families of the more than 100 Israeli hostages still waiting for their loved ones to return.
How you can sleep at night? Look at us. Look at them.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it shocking?
All the time.
Woke Patriot. Isn't it shocking?
Keep them in the top of the agenda.
In London today, the hostage families called on the government to bring them home.
Now.
But as they spoke, talks with Hamas and Egypt came to an end with no ceasefire deal.
Yeah,
that would have freed some of the hostages in exchange for a pause in fighting and the release of Palestinian prisoners.
We believe that it would only release about 40 hostages within 6 weeks. Would that be something that you would be in favour of, even though it would mean not all of the hostages being returned?
If we see someone come back, it's good for us. If only one now come inside to Israel, we know that we have hope. This is what we need. We need hope.
In Israel, while a majority support the war, many are growing angry at Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He's been criticized for his conduct during the war. And at a rally last week, Benny Gantz, a member of the war cabinet and a Netanyahu rival, joined the hostage families. And this week, he traveled to Washington and London as allies are getting frustrated with Netanyahu, who today said Israel would launch an offensive on Rafah, despite calls.
For the record, I'd love to see Hamas annihilated, guys. Okay? But when you take hostages, it changes the fucking, it changes how you're going to do things. And I would also like to point out, there's actually more than one way to destroy terrorism. You can actually destroy terrorism by building a strong Palestinian middle class. We can't, what? And put Israel in direct danger by giving the Palestinian people statehood and independence? Never. Oh, by the way, we still want to do the two-state solution, though.
For him not to do so.
There is international pressure, and it's growing.
Once again, Clutch Cargo. You are pointing to Hamas as if they are the only entity preventing this peace process. You're pretty consistent on carrying water for Israel, dude. You're pretty consistent. No, of course, cutting out. I'm not talking about building a strong middle class with Hamas. Are you kidding me? No, I'm talking about getting the PLO, getting other Arab countries in there. Yeah, Clutch Car. It's pretty obvious what you're doing. Do you think you're clever or something? It's pretty obvious what you're doing. Look at these numbers. Everyone supports Hamas. Pretty clear why we're not going to have peace. Yeah, Israel's standing in the way pretty heavily too. Yeah, look at those numbers from Hamas. Pretty crazy numbers. Can you do us all a favor so we can end this conversation and admit that Israel is also standing in the way of a proper negotiation? Or are you really going to try to lie to yourself and everybody and say no, Israel's coming to the table with an honest offer for a real ceasefire? And they're being honest actors for a real peace process. Could you at least admit that Israel is also acting in bad faith? Because Hamas acting in bad faith, sure, whatever, I'll take that. Where? Come on, Clutch. I just need it. There it is. 2% of it need too much force has been used. To think. The part where I quoted only 2% think too much. That's what I'm supposed to interpret from that. That you also agree that Israel is being a bad actor in these negotiations. That's what I was supposed to interpret from that comment. For real? Could you please just acknowledge that Israel is being a bad actor in these negotiations, so that it's not so obvious that you're trying to defend one side? I'm just asking for a clarification, bud.
But when the pressure rises, we must close ranks. We need to stand together against attempts to stop the war.
That rhetoric will not please Washington, with officials concerned about the wider region. Yesterday, Yemen's Houthis attacked another ship in the Gulf of Aden, killing 3 people.
No response from Clutch Cargo. That's troubling.
Back in Gaza, the situation is desperate.
Okay.
A scrap of cardboard is used to get every...
I'll take it. Thank you. It was like pulling teeth, but I'll take it. Thank you, Clutch Cargo.
Last bit of flour.
Tonight's
announcement from Biden about a military port is perhaps a sign of the Americans losing patience with the Israelis. But that help from the sea is still weeks away. And the people of northern Gaza are starving right now.
Off the sand.
Well, let's get more now from our Washington correspondent, Siobhan Kennedy. Siobhan.
Well, I think Kieran is right. This is a sign of rising tensions between the US and Israel.
Clutch,
we know that America...
No, I was clearly in the wrong, buddy. Yeah. No, two days in a row of this, putting the same statistic in the chat. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I'm putting words in your mouth for sure. No. Thank you after doubling down and insisting that you do this. Thank you for making that comment. No, but thank you. I appreciate that. I do. Because it's totally fair to say Hamas, it's like a long-term negotiation with Hamas. No, come on. Are you insane? What do we want to build? A Palestinian theocracy? Right? We don't want that. We got to get a technocratic government in there, PLO aligned, associated, Arab associated, right? Saudi Arabia, Arab Emirates getting involved. That's what we want to deal with. Oh yeah, a lot of Palestinians won't be happy with it, but they'll change their mind once they're going to college, once they're feeding their families with food that isn't scraped off the fucking beach, right? Like I said, a strong middle class removes, and look, in enough time, decades of that, decades of independence and prosperity, yeah, they'll start to forget their animosity between Israel. It is possible. It is actually possible. Okay? Let's not forget the entire world forgave the Nazis. You're not walking up to your German friend worried that he's going to Heil Hitler, right? The world was able to get beyond that, but there was a moment in time, there were several decades, where if you're like a German guy, you're like, what the fuck is this Nazi doing here? You know what I mean? Like it seemed like it was like, well, we're never going to be able to forgive these people for these atrocities. But will the bloodthirsty, people who support Israel and Israel itself ever really accept that reality that the only way to get rid of the Hamas and the entities that will replace Hamas, if you were even theoretically able to destroy Hamas, a new extremist terrorist organization would immediately crop up afterwards? Because the oppression has never been handled and never been fixed. That's the source of the terrorism. Oh, no, it's not. Israel's fully in the right for everything that it's ever done. And how dare you even say there's oppression? There's clearly, come on. You see, we can't even have a conversation about reality, can we? Because there is one side named Israel that refuses to accept anything. It's their way or the highway. And guess what? That reflects their sponsor, the United States. It's exactly the way the United States acts when it comes to negotiations. Like it or not, this is what's happening. When was the last time the United States bent on anything, major?
Has tried to persuade, to force Israel to let more aid in, but it simply believes now that Israel is not doing enough to meet that demand. So we are told tonight that the president will use his all-important State of the Union speech there in that building.
Well, Patriot, a government would have to be installed and then elections once stability has been created. But no, I would never, you can't just do an election right now in the current state that everything is in. Even if Israel were to just pull out. But no, something needs to be installed. Yeah, it needs to be installed and enforced like fucking World War II style, right? Like the enforced government in Germany and the enforced government in Japan, kind of like an occupied technocratic government, right? A transitionary government. And then, yes, once things have stabilized and people are not starving and running all over the place, then we can have real elections. But we can't just, on a dime, not in the Gaza Strip, dude, not in the West Bank.
Behind me to announce that he is directing U.S. military to carry out what they are calling an emergency mission to build an actual new port in the Mediterranean on the Gaza coast to allow for to receive large ships into that port carrying food, water, medicine, emergency shelters, and to transfer them via a new causeway, a pier into Gaza. This is obviously hugely significant news because it will allow for much more aid to get into Gaza. The US is estimating that up to hundreds of trucks a day will now be able to bring aid in. It does, of course, bring the US much closer to the war than it probably ever wanted to be, but a White House official assured us report.
Do you don't, and the problem is that secretly, and maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, Clutch Cargo, but I'm going to assume that you disagree with Old Growth here. if you're even still here, Clutch Cargo, and a lot of the time you are. But do you agree with Old Growth's comments about complete domination of the Palestinian country? I mean, because that's every action since its inception has pointed to that, and there has been no question. Right? There's a lot of gaslighting about the intention, but the actions are pretty clear. This is a campaign of domination. And the people that are going, but Hamas, but Hamas, but Hamas, have a hard time acknowledging that. They have a hard time acknowledging the reality of Israeli occupation.
Waters that did not mean that there would be any need for US boots on the ground in Gaza. At least that is what it is saying now. It does say much, though, of course, that the US is having to resort to this. This is not a hostile government it's dealing with, after all. It's Israel, one of its closest allies, and yet seemingly the US does not have the sway to force Israel to do its bidding. I should still point out, though, that at the same time that it's planning not just these airdrops, but now this new maritime aid, that it is still providing weapons and missiles to Israel to carry out its operations inside Gaza. That is where we are at.
This is just like Vietnam, man. This is just, you know, we'd carpet a whole village with napalm, right? And then we'd airlift the survivors and heal them, you know, the civilians. Jesus Christ, man. God, the U.S. sucks at this. And we're just being led by the nose. So the last Gaza video, and I know it's been a lot of Gaza, and I'm sorry about that, but it's coming. It's gushing, man. It's gushing. Okay, there's a lot of news. 7 lies, but I wanted to show this. Yeah, Old Growth. I don't even know what to say. You know, I don't even know what to fucking say. It's so pathetic. It's like it's this neoliberal mentality of wanting to play both sides, right? Of not wanting to change your Israel and all this, not wanting to change your rhetoric, but also trying to put a Band-Aid on the ethnic cleansing campaign and the results of that. Because that's really bad for re-election. Ooh. Can we have the ethnic cleansing with all the bad stuff, guys, please? I don't want to interrupt. We're just having an ethnic cleansing meeting. Not interrupting? Okay, well, can we feed him? Oh, I know, awkward. Can we feed him? Look, I got an election. 7 lies. So I wanted to show this here. This is Mehdi Hassan's, after of course, he told the truth about Gaza on MSNBC, not even on their main MSNBC cable channel, right? He told the truth on their internet YouTube channel. Had to go. They tried to do the classic MSNBC trick of, ooh, you're too progressive for us now, and we would actually like to disable your voice. So could you sign you could still be hired by MSNBC just as a contributor. You just got to sign this 3-year contract. Okay. You'll get money. We'll send you money, and, we'll do an interview maybe once a month. Some B level, B string, substitute anchor at 4:00 in the morning. We'll do an interview with you once a month about Palestine and Gaza. But you're not allowed to work, and you're not allowed to do interviews with any other news agency. You're still an MSNBC employee, but we're never gonna interview you, and basically we've just effectively silenced you. So Mehdi Hassan didn't take that, and that's kind of tempting because it's basically money to do nothing. So he didn't take that. Instead, he's decided to start his own poorly named, and I'm one to talk, but ZTO, some Greek name for communication or something. I wish him luck, and I wanted to show him support for his endeavor here, even though I just shit on the name. I don't think it's a good name. I think he should change it. But this is some of the content he's putting out for it. Good stuff, because it's Mehdi Hassan. What do you expect? 7 lies debunked by Mehdi Hassan. This, of course, pertaining to Israel, Gaza.
Told so many lies since October the 7th with so little pushback from the media that it's hard to keep up. So here from Zateo is the first in a new segment we're calling Debunked. The top 7 lies about Gaza debunked. Lie number 1.
It looks like I edited this, dude. But hey, he's just getting started out.
There was already a ceasefire on October the 6th, and Hamas broke it. You see it said everywhere by Benjamin Netanyahu, by Hillary Clinton.
This is really common. You see this quite a bit. One more time. To seek in order to find. Yeah, Zateo. It's good. Like it's like, oh, that makes sense. I like that. But I don't know, man. I don't want Zateo on your t-shirt. I don't know. Nirvana made it work. Nirvana is the worst band name in history. And of course it's like, no, it isn't. They're an amazing band. Yeah, no. Because the music was good, it made the name right. So if the news is good, if the content is good, it'll make the name work. That's my theory about band names. You can have a shitty band name. You just have to be really good, and then people will watch you. Yeah, but so this is the lie. There was already a ceasefire on October 6th, and Hamas broke it.
For the 6th, and Hamas broke it. You see it said everywhere by Benjamin Netanyahu, by Hillary Clinton. They all say it, and yet it's completely false. Just 2 weeks before October the 7th, Israeli airstrikes hit Gaza for the 3rd day in a row. And on October the 4th, Gaza Strip protesters received bullet wounds to ankles, medics report. Does that sound like
there was a whole escalation campaign as soon as Ben Gvir and Netanyahu started their term after they won re-election? They immediately escalated the violence in the Gaza Strip.
Ceasefire to you? Even over in the occupied West Bank, before Hamas's attack on October 7th,
really well.
Israeli forces had already killed a record 234 Palestinians. If there was a ceasefire in place before October the 7th, nobody told the Israeli military. Lie number 2. The priority is freeing the hostages. There's no higher priority, Joe Biden has said.
No higher
priority. And yet, last month, Israel's finance minister said bringing home the hostages is not the top priority. Hamas must be defeated, he said.
Well, he doesn't represent the... Come on. He's a low-level official, guys. Come on.
Or unwittingly, the Israeli military has actually killed more Israeli hostages than its soldiers have rescued. In fact, as one Israeli journalist recently tweeted, citing new reporting from an Israeli news website, 10 hostages were killed by Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, some even as the Israeli military had intel they were residing in the buildings that were targeted.
Ooh, they don't fucking care.
The IDF reportedly killed their own citizens and then lied and said they died in, quote, Hamas captivity.
Wow.
But sure, it's all about the hostages. Line
Is
number 3.
Mehdi Hassan an anti-Semite?
40 beheaded babies. How can we forget the most emotive and most offensive lie of this entire conflict? A lie that went viral and was repeated by the President of the United States, who falsely said he saw pictures of beheaded babies, even though there weren't any.
I don't want to search for that.
Nor were their babies burned in ovens, as Israeli newspaper Haaretz proved in their investigation. They were all lies. In fact, according to data released by Israel's Social Security Agency, tragically, there was one baby killed on October the 7th, 10-month-old Mila Cohen. May her memory be a blessing. But in the interests of facts, she was not beheaded. Now, one baby killed is one baby too many, a tragedy, a crime.
Absolutely.
But 40 beheaded babies is just a cynical, reckless, repulsive lie that was then used to justify the killing of hundreds of Palestinian babies.
Thousands.
Lie number 4, there was a Hamas base underneath the Al-Shifa hospital. Remember this video from the Israeli military claiming Hamas's main headquarters were under the hospital? Wow, an underground lair straight out of a Bond movie. To this day, we have yet to see any evidence of such a headquarters under Al-Shifa.
Like one
as the AP
room.
has reported, the Israelis found a pair of metal cots in a room fashioned from rusty white tile.
Yeah.
They appeared to be out of use.
It looked like
Meanwhile,
a
the
fucking
Washington
saw
Post
room.
said the
Looked like
underground
a room
rooms found by
torture
Israel
somebody.
showed no immediate evidence of military use by
Want to
Hamas.
fact check him, Davin? Oh yeah, please. Please, absolutely. Please fact check Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan works very, very hard to present very factual information. I have no problem repeating what he has to say. He's a legit journalist. That's why MSNBC had to fire him.
Hamas and Israel has provided no hard evidence that Hamas was using the hospital as a command and control center. The Israeli military lied so that they could attack more hospitals under the same false pretext.
Yeah, they just
Line number 5. You can't trust the Hamas health ministry. Remember what Israeli spokesman Mark Regev said to me on Peacock
Hamas numbers
back in November? The Gaza Health Ministry says Israel has killed more than 11,000 people in Gaza, including a record number of children. Let me finish my question.
No, but you can't say that. No, but
this is the interview that got him fired.
Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health in Gaza.
I don't have to say what you asked me to say. Why mention Hamas-controlled every time? Because you can't trust the health ministry's numbers, right?
No, Hamas numbers.
Except the Israeli military does. The Israeli military has secretly found the Gaza health ministry's casualty figures to be reliable and even uses those numbers for its own intelligence briefings.
Oof.
Oh, and the world's most famous medical journal, The Lancet, found no evidence of inflated mortality reporting from the Gaza Ministry of Health.
Oh, it's all
Line
fake
number 6,
news.
there is no
I'm not
hunger
really
in Gaza.
So.
That is an exact quote from an Israeli defense official.
There's no hunger in
and
Gaza.
It's a lie,
huh?
obviously. Ask
Yeah,
the parents
no.
of poor Mahmoud Fatou, the 2-month-old baby.
Yeah, the guy's scooping up flour off the sand. They're going to sell it. They're profiteers. They're scalpers. Hamas members. And you use it to make fertilizer bombs. I don't know.
Who starved to death recently in
Saw it
Gaza.
in a Bond
According
movie.
to the World Food Programme,
Light
4 out of 5 of
flour
the
on
hungriest
fire.
people in the world right now
Can't
are
you
in
do that?
Gaza. And line number 7, the Gazans getting killed today elected Hamas. They voted for them.
So, I mean, and that's what we see with Clutch Cargo, right? He keeps repeating this over and over and over again. Well, I mean, that's the insinuation, at least. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, and I wish you were still here, Clutch Cargo, to defend yourself. But that's what we've seen the last 2 days with Clutch Cargo. He doesn't like to be called out on it. What? I'm just saying. I'm just pointing to the numbers. I look at the poll numbers. Look, they support Hamas. They said after October 7th, they support Hamas. Okay, what do you mean by that? I don't mean anything by that. I'm just pointing it out. Really? You don't mean anything by that, huh? You're not insinuating that they had it coming? That this is, that it's totally intractable because Hamas is, no, but Clutch Cargo did admit that Israel is also standing in the way. And it's good to note that these two sides are not on equal footing. One side has all the power. The other side has, brutality, a book, a Quran, and a fucking rusty AK-47 and some other Civil War era weapons that Hezbollah was able to sneak in for him. Right? There's a power differential here. Have you let Jesus inside you tonight? Every night. Every night. My Jesus-shaped dildo has a ejaculation feature. So, what can I say? I'm a holy man. Paul mentioned earlier also found that 44% of Gazans say they have enough food and water for a day or two, and 56% say they do not. But kind of. But yeah, I mean, it's this insinuation that, well, it's Hamas's fault, and everyone agrees with Hamas, and it's like that's like saying, the U.S. has, the U.S. has it coming because we voted Trump in, and everyone just, well, I mean, Trump was voted in democratically, so everyone agrees with Trump, right? Poll numbers, look, he was voted in, he's president. Does he ejaculate wine? Oh, that's clever.
Put aside for one moment the bin Ladenist logic that says if you vote a way I don't
Clutch
like,
Cargo did acknowledge,
I get to kill you. It's just not true that Gazans elected Hamas. It's a lie. Half of the population of Gaza are kids under the age of 18. Most of them weren't even born when the last elections in Gaza took place nearly 2 decades ago. And even in those 2006 legislative elections, Hamas didn't win a majority of the votes cast in Gaza. So, again and again, the Israeli government and its supporters in the West tell brazen, shameless lies about
I fully
the war.
agree with that statement.
And so again and again, we must call out those dangerous and deadly lies, even if others in our media won't.
There we go. Well, thank you. You were here. I appreciate that. The Teo News. Check it out. It's a good name, guys. It's a good name. It's better than News Underground. But look, man, it's the people who don't want a solution want to say that this problem is complicated, right? And like, oh well, it's too intractable. You'll never be able to get a solution. That's just not true. The problem is that the United States and Israel seemingly don't want to either admit that they're, the United States doesn't want to ever admit that it was wrong, or, they don't want to lose their military satellite. I have my doubts that Israel is even going to come through to hook us up whenever we actually want to start shit with Iran. But whatever.
Israeli officials have told...
But whatever. Man, why my shit blowing up? I don't want my shit to be blowing up. Who's hitting me up? I'm getting scammed, dude. I'm getting so many scam texts. Yeah, another scam. I got several texts telling me, oh, you got some unpaid parking tickets. You got to pay your parking tickets. Total scam. Go to the website. The first thing they have, everyone's being scammed in the country right now. So real quick, I wanted to find time to talk about this. A little bit of good news. This is actually really great news. Took you long enough. Only had to poison a couple generations. But the FDA finally, I guess maybe the FDA is making this decision before, before the Republicans take over and totally gut the FDA. Right? They're like, well, we better do this now because it's going to be reversed soon. Yeah, woke patriot. Yeah, we won't get into it. But no, this is great news. PFAS, forever chemicals, to officially be removed from food packaging. So if you don't know what the hell's going on, you're like, yeah, old growth. It's a good way to put it. But if you don't know what's going on, for the last several decades, you've been eating plastic. Every time, all these food containers right here. Nice, thin, little coating of plastic on all this stuff, right? That, and they put hot liquids in there, and yeah, you bet that it melts into your food. They're finding forever chemicals in fetuses. And 100% of women tested, right? They did a study, 100%. I can't remember the study. It's in there. It's on the internet. You can find it. Alex Jones, go to Infowars.com. You'll see I got all the sources. Like one guy on Twitter. No, there's a real article out there. But they did a study. All these women had their placenta, or it was their womb or their fetus or something tested. All of them had microplastics. So finally, we're seeing the FDA acknowledge this after decades and decades of people raising the alarm. Manufacturers will no longer use harmful forever chemicals in food packaging process products in the United States, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. So this, when Steve Bannon talks about gutting the swamp and taking over our regulatory, our agencies, the FDA is one of those he's talking about, and he's absolutely what he wants to do. He's like, oh, you see, the FDA can tell our businesses what to do. Instead of Ted Cruz formulating a bill that can specifically say this or that, right? We have this, totally ungoverned rule of, undemocratic institution that's, telling Americans what they can and can't do. No, the FDA, like a lot of regulatory agencies in the United States, has been given a certain amount of power to make changes after they have done their own scientific studies to prove certain conclusions. The reason why they're able to enact those changes without getting Ted Cruz involved is that it's nearly impossible to make changes that can affect people's safety quick enough. They can't just come in and just make everything, different. But yeah, they can make a change. This is going to cost industry millions of dollars. This change is probably why they dragged their feet on it so long. But this kind of change would cost millions of dollars. And Steve Bannon wants to change it so that he can put Ted Cruz, fill in the blank. I like to use Ted Cruz as a villain, but just imagine Ted Cruz running your life, right? I like to use him because it's like, oh, that sounds horrific. Louis Gohmert, you fill in the blank, man, some right-wing hack. Put in charge of the FDA, and he can just make whatever change he wants. Right, that's what we heard that an analyst talk about that wrote that whole that massive review of the Project 2025 plan. Right, it's not exactly that they want to destroy the FDA. They want to take over the FDA. and make it right a regulatory, that goes after small business and allows for monopolization and assists the billion-dollar oligarchy. That's what they want to do with these organizations. But you see how valuable they are in their current form? Do you see how much danger you're going to be put in when Project 2025 becomes your reality? Just one example here. I guarantee you this is like the top on the list now. They're probably going to run advertisements about how, the Democrats are allowing the FDA to overreach and are costing small business millions of dollars in erroneous packaging changes that don't make anything, making your food more expensive by making food companies pay more for their packaging, blah, 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 blah. We're going to remove this erroneous regulation so that companies can continue to put forever chemicals and microplastics into your food. Of course, they don't advertise it that way, do they? Freedom, freedom, and liberty, and freedom from this, and remove you from the shackles of regulation. I want to eat poison. I like poison. It's delish. No, I love it. Heating up food in one of these containers. I love thinking about how all the fucking microplastics are entering my bloodstream. In a statement released on February 28th, the agency declared that grease-proofing materials that contain pre- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS, will not be used in new food packaging sold in the United States. These include PFAS used in fast food wrappers, microwave popcorn bags, takeout boxes, and pet food bags. The FDA's announcement marks the completion of a voluntary phase-out of the materials by U.S. food packaging manufacturers. This is great. But as someone pointed out, strategy over there YouTube, it's going to be, this is the millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha are all poisoned with these forever chemicals and microplastics. And it's going to be a multi-generational effort to remove these microplastics from our, from our bodies. This is far worse than the lead crisis. Which was, the lead in gasoline, which was, you were able to remove the lead from the gasoline and then people stopped ingesting lead and it was, things got better immediately. These are forever chemicals. They are inside our bodies forever. There's no process to remove them. There's no way to detoxify yourself. And yes, you can pass them. Like I said, they're finding them in the placenta. They're finding them in the womb. So yes, a pregnant woman can pass these PFAS onto future generations. And by the way, who's accountability? Steve Bannon's like, no one should be accountable for poisoning generations of of people across the world. No one should be held accountable, says Steve Bannon. We want a strong man. We want a strong man. We don't want rules and regulations. Will anybody be held accountable for this? No, of course not, because, lefties might get wrapped up in it. Oh, well, if lefties won't get wrapped up in it, then it's no longer a lefty thing. And, so sick and tired of the hypocritical neoliberal attitude about, we can criticize this, but we can't criticize that because that makes us look bad. And then that, you're basically doing Republican propaganda. How are we ever supposed to get better? We can't call each other out now. Oh, well, you're attacking on the left. We can't do that. If the left is if you're fucking up, because I do get nitpicking. I do get that. Like, we do that a lot. We nitpick at each other. Oh, you said this on social media 15 years ago. You should be canceled. Never have an opinion again. That kind of shit. Definitely detrimental. But we're as a party, we can't keep each other honest. Seems a little counterproductive. All right. I think I have time for one more video here, and we'll have to do some world news tomorrow to make up for it. I got a great video with Marina Perkins. Yeah, you know it. You know what's going down. So we'll have to do that one tomorrow. I have to show you this video, though, because this fits right into what I was talking about earlier. The United States, Steve Bannon, Project 2025. There's a real effort to destroy our liberty, to destroy our democracy. And these are the characters that are now being put in charge. Wait till you hear what this guy has to say. This new Republican, who is, I don't know if he's an up-and-comer or not, but he's gotten way too close. I think he's already in government. He's already won a seat or been elected. So he's already in government, and it's already wait till you hear what this guy has to say. It's literally insane. By the way, big props, Humanist Report here, Mike Figurino, awesome dude.
I thought that Republicans couldn't possibly get any more extreme after Sarah Palin in 2008, nuts. Which was the first time that I was old enough to vote. Then Trump came along, bonkers. And then I thought to myself, all right, this has got to be the floor, right? You can't possibly get more fringe than this, right? Well, of course you can, because Trump won, and he not only normalized extremism within the Republican Party and across the country, he laid the foundation so people even more fringe than him can become politically viable. See Exhibit A.
And can you tell me why so many people that support Donald Trump love conspiracy theories, including yourself? He seems to attract lots of conspiracy theorists.
Well, let me tell you, you're a conspiracy theorist, and the left and the media spreads more conspiracy theories. We like the truth. We like supporting our Constitution, our freedoms, and America first. So,
what about Jewish space lasers? Tell us about Jewish space lasers.
No, why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers? And really, why don't you fuck off? How about that?
Thanks. Thank you very much.
So, in retrospect, Sarah Palin doesn't see.
That's not what I'm talking about. I don't know why he decided to throw that shit in there, but no. Wait, you gotta see these comments here, dude. So he's just trying to say, I thought Marjorie Taylor Greene was the floor. I thought Marjorie Taylor, welcome back, Hot Dog. Welcome back, Dari. Everybody else, all you lurkers out there, thank you for viewing News Underground. Keeping it real in this motherfucker. And the nihilism. Like and subscribe. Buy my merch. I don't know how to do this. So he was just trying to say, well, this is obviously the floor, right? This hillbilly, Marjorie Taylor Greene over here, right? This is obviously the floor. No, man. No, dude. The abyss gets darker and deeper, man. This is insane. Where do you see this?
Christian nation. What if we're atheists? What if we don't believe in your religion? Well, he has a message for you.
As for this not being a Christian nation, yes, it is. If you don't like it, I'll buy your plane, train, or automobile ticket right up out of here.
That's nice. Now, he described himself as more of a preacher than a politician and believes that he has divine authority to crush his political opponents by all means necessary. And he's publicly stated that he's willing to lay down his own life to defeat the enemy.
And tell our enemies on the other side of the aisle that would drag this nation down into a socialist hellhole that you will only do it as you run past me, laying on the ground, choking on my own blood.
Now, that rhetoric might seem a bit Hitlerian, sure, but that doesn't necessarily indicate his willingness to crush the enemy violently per se.
Yeah,
that's a fair point to make. But here he is explicitly endorsing an armed rebellion against the United States government.
Come on.
Federal government, and let's face it, is tyrannical.
Oh, yeah.
It is tyrannical. Guys, this is the type of government the Second Amendment was made for.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you.
It's interesting because they're using this language. The Republicans, right-wing conservatives, fascists love to use the language of left-wing social justice against left-wing movements. And that's, we're seeing this, Steve Bannon is talking about, it's a tyrannical government. They want, it's all projection, dude. It's crazy. It's literally, they want to be the tyranny. They're like, we want to be the tyranny before you do. Right? Before you, it's a big race to authoritarianism. Both sides, they kind of both sides rationalize it. Oh, it's so fucking weird when they do this.
You'll also be entirely unsurprised to learn that he is a supporter of the January 6th insurrection and calls the people who were arrested political prisoners.
It gets worse, guys.
So this is somebody who talks openly about domination and the use of violence, and this all sounds pretty Hitlerian, but it's not like he's explicitly quoted or invoked Hitler.
No. This is a great segment because he's starting off with the light shit and really escalating. This is a great segment. Mike Figurino, you're killing it.
Right? Well, in a 2014 Facebook post, Mark Robinson shared this quote from Hitler about racial pride, which reads, "Pride in one's own race, and that does not imply contempt for other races, is also a normal and healthy sentiment. I have never regarded the Chinese or the Japanese as being inferior to ourselves. They have the right to be proud of their past, just as we have the right to be proud of the civilization to which we belong." Spoiler alert, it turns out that Hitler actually did believe that whites were the master race. But what if it's the case that he liked that quote and didn't know he was quoting Hitler?
Big egalitarian, guys.
He knows it's Hitler because he's defended his use of the quote and hasn't taken it down. But you see, it's not like he's quoting Hitler because he likes Hitler. He's quoting Hitler to educate his followers, that's the excuse, about the dangers of pride, more generally speaking. And as he put it just a few months later, he'll accept gay pride when you accept white pride. Okay, that's quite the bargain. You know, I'd like some gay pride, sir. Well, that'll cost you one white pride.
Totally
Deal.
normal.
And
totally normal.
You're probably...
I would like, I don't mean to throw a bone to the bigots and racists, you know, the White Lives Matter, all that stuff, but it is interesting. You black pride, gay pride, can't do white pride though, right? So like, I do think that there has to be some kind of something for that, right? I mean, I understand the differences. Right. But it's just, it does seem like it makes sense because there's a dichotomy there, right? White people can't be proud in the same way that because white people are already elevated. But yeah, like, will we ever get to everything pride? Like, be proud of humanity, be proud of humans, be proud of everything. But we can't, there's no way to have an honest conversation about any of that, right? Because of how muddy the term is, right? That'd be like trying to have an honest conversation about the OK sign, right? It's just literally impossible. They've made it that way. But I do think it's interesting because I always thought about that. Like, you know, I have the same thoughts about, well, I can't even think of the word at the moment. So there you go. But what is it? Let's get back to it here. I'll think of it later. But yeah, I don't think we can ever have, maybe not in our generation, the millennials will ever have a real honest conversation about, you know, about that kind of weirdness. Because it's not like I'm trying to throw, I'm floundering here. It's not like I'm trying to throw a bone to the white supremacists. Of course not. And I'm not trying to say, oh, you have a good point. But I don't know. There does seem to be something there, right? How come it's okay for, you know, one side and the other side not to, yada, yada, yada. Clearly I'm a white supremacist, clearly. Identitarian, 100% confirmed, obviously.
Probably thinking that, you know, obviously gay pride and white pride are two entirely different things, so his point doesn't make sense. Yeah. One stems from the desire for equality, and the other hinges on one's false belief that they're superior to everyone. And
yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe if white pride didn't mean I'm superior, you know, that's a great point right there. Yeah, if white pride didn't mean, because that is the connotation. That is the connotation, right?
And the goal to dominate other races that they believe are inferior. But he doesn't see it that way. In fact, he probably actually thinks that LGBTQ plus people are as dangerous as you and I think Nazis are. And I say this because he also has a history of downplaying the Holocaust and, of course, of anti-Semitism as well, in addition to the Hitler quote. Talking Points memo explains, in 2021, Robinson sparked outrage from Jewish groups when he published a post filled with Yiddish slurs and references to Israeli currency, wherein he declared the Black Panther superhero movie was based on a character that was created by an agnostic Jew and put to film by satanic Marxists in an effort to pull the shekels out of your slur pockets. Those comments that drew attention are not Robinson's only controversial take on Jewish issues. Over the years, Robinson repeatedly questioned why criticism of Nazis was such a prominent part of political discourse. He argued that
it's Kanye's favorite fucking politician. Okay. Thank you, everybody in the chat, because it looks like that is the big is the connotation that white pride is superior. So if we were ever to have some kind of to you know, and it's just like the Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter shit, right? Because the people that are saying white lives matter are ignoring that Black Lives Matter doesn't mean black lives are the only lives that matter. It means black lives also matter, just like white lives, just like everyone's lives. So it's an intentional misconstruing in a way, right? Okay.
That Nazism was defeated in World War II, while the continued spread of communism was a more pressing problem. In one of these posts, which has not been reported before, Robinson seemed to veer into Holocaust denial. Quote, there is a reason the liberal media fills the airwaves with programs about the Nazi and the 6 million Jews they murdered. He put 6 million Jews in quotes, by the way, wrote Robinson. There is also a reason those same liberals do not fill the airwaves with programs about the communist and 100+ million people they murdered throughout the 20th century. Now, this is why some people have, I think, reasonably speculated that Mark Robinson is likely a neo-Nazi, even if he doesn't self-identify as such. Or at a minimum, he's a white supremacist. Now, that seems weird because we're talking about a black man, but I mean, you can still espouse white supremacist and anti-black talking points regardless of who you are. And in a 2017 Facebook post, he said he doesn't actually consider himself to be part of the African American community, and he also made very racist comments about black people in response to a news article that he shared, and he also shared images of the Confederate flag, and in response to a Republican politician's shirt featuring a man holding a Confederate flag while urinating on the NAACP logo, he actually defended it by saying that the
I would like to allow your comment, but then I would have to allow white pride. And you see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So I have to deny it because I don't want white pride to be on my allowed phrase list. Sorry, woke patriot. Just find a different, just spell it differently or do something else, right?
NAACP has done a fine job of pissing on itself and its legacy for many years now. Furthermore, Talking Points memo continues, quote, February is Black History Month. I guess the shortest month of the year is all we need to learn about the separate but equal history of a people who have achieved so little, Robinson wrote in 2014. Robinson also took issue with Kwanzaa, a holiday that celebrates African American heritage. Random thought, after Christmas edition, Robinson wrote in early January of 2018. Kwanzaa is Hanukkah on food stamps. So he said some very insensitive and downright racist things.
The craziest comment, though, dude. Okay, I'm running out of time here. You got to get this. There's so many. There's so many here, dude. Okay, hold on. You got to listen. I think this is the one.
Describe him as a straight supremacist, given what he said about gay people.
Somebody asked me in the classroom one time, we were talking about, and they said, this fellow was a homosexual, looked at me and said, so you think your wife and you think your heterosexual relationship is superior to my husband and our homosexual relationship? Yes!
I mean, he's pretty clear, right? He is a straight...
Wow. He is a bigot. Wow, he is a straight supremacist. All right, I got to find the one. Okay, I'm ruining it here. No, there's so many crazy ones. Okay, is this it? My God, there's so much. There's so much crazy.
And there's liberty. And then there's pure lunacy. And lunacy is turning on the Olympics and seeing a man lifting weights against a woman. Lunacy is turning on the television and seeing a story in the local news about a man wearing a rainbow dress with horns in his head, his face all painted up, dressed up like a woman sitting reading to children.
So while you might have the free...
I thought he was describing the January 6th guy for a second there. But yeah, so just normal transgender bigotry. I want to see if he gets to the comment that I'm waiting
with
for.
Being gay and trans.
Back in the day.
Yeah, so just more transphobia, more anti-gay bigotry. Let's see if this is the comment I'm thinking of. There's so many.
Of those same perverts.
He's already in government, by the way.
Civil rights. It's just all one and the same. But gay and trans people aren't just child predators, according to him. At least when it comes to trans people, he also thinks that they are demonic. Literally.
Yeah, okay. So we've heard this shit before from these idiots many times, the demonic statement. Wow, he actually is he really not even going to cover the craziest statement that this guy has made?
Well, he did use the @ symbol to denote the letter choice, and if they have to go to the bathroom, then they can just defecate in street corners.
What the fuck? I mean, it never stops with this guy.
And we haven't even scratched the surface. As Democratic strategist Keith Edwards explains, he also thinks that Beyonce is satanic. He says that mass shootings are karma for abortion. He called school shooting victims prostitutes.
That's an amazing one.
He thinks that the moon landing was faked. He thinks that lizard people are real. He called 9/11 an inside job. And he thinks American Idol is the sign of a new world order. And if I had to
No, and I can't believe it. Is he not gonna? He didn't cover it, dude. Okay, hold on. No, you guys. He literally said, no. I can't believe Humanist Report here. Mike Figurino. Maybe he did, and I just skipped it. But no. Dude said. Wait, let me see. Let me show you these comments. Hold on. Women's voting. Yeah. Quote. I absolutely, this is the craziest comment. I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote, dude. What? You know, and people are starting to point out, oh, like this has to be damaging. This has to be damaging. It would be damaging if we had a functioning democracy. The reason why characters like this are getting close to power or getting into power is because our democracy has been broken, has been defeated, and is breaking down. And the closer to real power we allow these individuals to get, the more that they will break the institutions that remove them, the checks and balances that could potentially remove them, like elections. So to the people that are like, oh, these statements are extreme, these statements are going to damage him, only if our democracy holds, right? And our democracy is not holding, and this party, his party, is actively dismantling these checks and balances so that people like him will never be forced to leave. They are cancerous. Literally, like a cancer on our body politic, right? I'm sure smart people say that shit, right? All right, folks. Well, that was fun. A good time. Hooking it up over there on YouTube. Looks like we're still going. I didn't piss off YouTube. Excellent. Big props to everybody in the chat here. Sorry about my floundering on pride, white pride. Yeah, I've always found the pride slogan to be interesting, because it really does have, like, you know, pride means one thing for another, pride means this for that. I don't think it's a messaging thing we need to worry about, right? Because it's going to be misconstrued regardless. But it does remind me of the White Lives Matter. You know, how it's like a semantic argument. You know, it's like a semantic argument. You know. Yeah, these terms, these words that are intentionally misconstrued or intentionally recontextualized, and how they're used and what they mean. That's where I was coming from. Certainly wasn't a, hey guys, have you considered white pride might be great? I just pull the rug out from under my whole chat, and I just start the identitarian talk, you know. I was feeling the lumps in my skull. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know, maybe we are superior. But no, big props to Woke Patriot, Chem Goblin, Dari Arts, Hot Dog JPEG, you're awesome. Thank you for coming back. All you lurkers out there, make sure you do check out if you want to see, for some reason you want to see this on YouTube. I got a YouTube channel here. Like and subscribe on that. Help me out. That would be great. There it is. There's the link. Give me a subscribe on that bad boy. Get those numbers up. Big props to your boy Lenny. Davey, even though he wasn't here today. Big props to Clutch Cargo for sticking around and having that healthy debate with us. Thank you, Clutch Cargo. Of course, I disagree with some of what I don't know. I probably disagree with some of what you were saying there afterwards, but that's fine. We came to an agreement. I appreciate you accepting the reality, you know, of Israel in the situation. So big props to your boy Clutch Cargo, and make sure you like and subscribe also to Clutch Cargo, because he does his own streaming. He does gaming as well. So make sure you're liking and subscribing on that. Big props to your boy Old Growth Canopy. Lovely name. Davin Siski. Thank you, Davin. Big props to you. Strategy member. Borderline Feline. Big props. Big props. Thank you, Chem Goblin. Thank you, Chem Goblin. Thank you from over there in Ukraine for all of your insight in Ukraine. Leon over there in the UK. Thank you, Leon. Coming in nice and early. You come to Ukraine, it would turn out I'm homophobic Nazi. Yeah, dude. That'll be really funny. You'll have macaroni hair, though, right? You'll have the macaroni hair. You better have macaroni hair. Hey, thanks again, Clutch Cargo, for sticking around. Thank you again. I'm glad you heard that. Thank you, Clutch Cargo. Make sure you like and click that name and click the follow, folks. Click the follow on Clutch Cargo. Great streamer. Wonderful stuff. All right, everybody. That's the headlines for today. We'll see you again tomorrow. What is it? Is it Thursday today? What day is it today? Yeah, Thursday. We'll do one Friday, and we're gonna do a bigger one on Saturday. You know, more longer form, hardcore news. It's the News Underground. Yeah, we actually got informed on Twitch. How about that? Step 1 in a 3-step process to create political change. Step 2 is joining a progressive political organization in your area. Well, I don't want to do progressive. Fine, just join something. Get off your ass. I don't care. Step 3, put in the fucking work and treat it with seriousness. Don't put no shame in your game. I'm a political activist and I want to create change, and this is how we're going to do it. That's how you got to represent yourself, with pride. Not this, ooh, well, I don't want to make people awkward by having a political conversation right now. Ooh, I'm kind of scared to talk about that. That's how the fucking empire wins. We win by communicating with our fellow man, by talking to our fellow citizen in our own class, and then breaking out of that class. Our position privilege, I comfort me, is just sometimes I think pushback is healthy. Clutch Cargo, it's fine. Fine. Pushback is not only healthy, it's necessary. Because we got lefties over here just knee-jerk defending Hamas like it's some kind of political organization that's going to be sticking around. Right? Hamas, we've seen what happens when we create a power vacuum and then let a bunch of fucking theocrats fill it. It's called the Taliban. It's called Afghanistan. We know what happens. So we got lefties being unnuanced, talking about Hamas. So I get it. Pushback is necessary. All right, everybody. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East, and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. News Underground, bitch. Get him. All day. Hardcore all day. Fuck that anarchy shit. Democracy. Democracy. Democracy is the radical thing to say. You know why? Because that's the thing that they hate the most. Democracy is the radical position. That's the underground position. That's what they hate the most. Thank you, Purple Posse. Peace out, everybody.